This film begins by showing a main actor named Arthur Bishop, who looks relaxed on a cruise ship enjoying his vacation in Brazil, but the trip didn't last long, because Arthur decided to visit a cafe. When he sat down, suddenly an attractive and charming woman approached him. It was revealed that this Arthur had been hiding in that country for 5 months, which looks like an accident because the boss is taking advantage of Arthur's skills. If Arthur refuses, his post threatens to reveal his identity to the government and his enemies because he has hidden his own death in an explosion that occurred some time ago. Arthur climbed into the cable car after leaving the cafe from the cable car. He then jumped using a paragliding parachute to continue his dangerous adventure. After walking around on the cruise ship, Arthur witnessed someone trying to sneak in a short time. He tracked him down to a port and managed to get into a container. But unexpectedly, that place was where Arthur hid various documents and work equipment. Seriously, Arthur also began to investigate the identity of the mysterious woman and found various passwords and some money and weapons that had been prepared beforehand. After leaving Brazil, Arthur flew himself to the beach in Thailand, where he visited his friend, namely May, in the hope of finding traces of the woman in that country. Then May joyfully brought arranged to her private house, which Arthur seldom visited. A surprise awaits below the floor of the house, where Arthur reopened a suitcase containing almost the same contents as the container he had left earlier. That night he continued his search to get information about the woman's figure, until finally he managed to get data about a man who was his boss and named Grimm. The next day Arthur also noticed the presence of a beautiful woman who landed on the beach. The woman's name was Gina. She came to the place owned by May to ask for help from May because Arthur also saw bruises on Gina's hand. At night there was a commotion on the cruise ship where Gina was. Then May asked for Arthur's help to check on Gina's condition on the boat because they suspected there was a problem there. At first Arthur refused because it was none of his business, but May asked and begged Arthur until finally Arthur also agreed to approach the boat. When he got on the boat, Gina was almost abused by a man. Arthur fought against the man until finally the man fell and hit his head on iron. After seeing this incident, Gina suddenly fainted and May immediately took him to the beach. Meanwhile, Arthur entered the boat cabin and found a cell phone containing a photo of himself. To get rid of traces, Arthur decided to burn the yacht. After that, Arthur also met with Gina and asked Gina to reveal the true purpose of her arrival to this island. Gina also admitted that she was being threatened by someone named Grimm to approach Arthur with the intention that Arthur would do what Grimm wanted.
Gina Thorne, American.
I already told you.
Tell me about Crane.
The next day, May is seen tending to Gina's injuries. Seth begins to investigate Gina's real identity and learns that Gina is actually a special military agent assigned to the Afghanistan war zone to provide humanitarian assistance in Cambodia. Gina too tells that Grimm has threatened the lives of the children he is responsible for in Cambodia.
18 months ago, special military...
I need to know what Crane has on you.
They're my weakness.
Every day the relationship between Arthur and Gina is getting closer, especially when a member of the Grimm group comes using a small boat to watch over them. For the safety of Gina and the children in Cambodia, Arthur and Gina are trying to show that they are very close. At night, Arthur tells that he and Grimm were kidnapped when they were kids by a group of gangsters who intended to make them child soldiers. But luckily Arthur managed to escape, but Grimm wasn't as lucky as him because he couldn't escape. When Gina heard Arthur's story, he was very moved and immediately hugged Arthur.
We're still doing East End gangster. This is his payback. I escaped, he didn't.
As time goes by, 2 boats with Grimm's men disguised as police arrive on the island, and a battle ensues there. Although Arthur has the ability to defeat them easily, he considers the safety of Gina and the children in Cambodia. They are then transferred to Bangkok, Thailand, knowing that a bomb has been planted there. Then Arthur is told that the bomb will explode if Arthur moves even a little. Then Grimm appeared and Arthur had no choice but to accept his orders to kill 3 targets. One of the 3 targets was Grill, a mass murderer, a general and the biggest arms dealer in Africa, who is currently imprisoned in Malaysia.
To eliminate 3 people. Do the 3 kills, Arthur. Is Krill, mass murderer and warlord.
There Arthur was ordered to swallow the GPS bug so they could find out Arthur's whereabouts, while Gina was seen being transported to a large ship in open waters, after that moving to Penang, Malaysia. Arthur had carefully planned a plan before entering this prison, which is located 7 miles in the middle of the sea on a high cliff surrounded by hungry sharks. This legend is always accompanied by his loyal troops. With such a tight guard, Arthur will disguise himself as a high-class fugitive named Martin Baseman Young Medium being hunted by the Malaysian kingdom. He also bought things such as specially packaged chewing gum and cigarettes containing GPS devices. Then Arthur tattooed his face and made a fake passport with the same appearance as the fugitive. After all the preparations were finished, Arthur went to the market and disturbed the police officers there until he was arrested, and the other prisoners were then taken to the prison where Arthur's mission was will run. For the sake of devising a plan so that he could leave that place safely, Arthur made a plan so that the death of this general looked like an accident. While he was there, Arthur directly witnessed the tight guard carried out by his subordinate Krill, and it turned out that many other people were also hoped this Krill dies, including his own former accomplice. When Krill is doing barbell lifting exercises, his former accomplice almost kills him, but luckily Arthur shows up in time to save. And because of that incident, Grill began to feel in awe of Arthur, so that when he was in Arthur's cell, he was called back by Krill to be offered a job, but unexpectedly, he instead force-fed Krill with a drug which resulted in Krill dying tragically. His men who heard the commotion saw Krill as if he was praying, when in reality Krill had died. Arthur then managed to escape, and the candy he was carrying turned out to contain explosives used to blow up the prison walls. Then he swallowed a GPS device to make it easier. His team found him. Apart from that, Arthur also applied ointment on his body as protection from shark attacks. After successfully jumping into the rescue boat, Arthur immediately found out that his first mission had been completed successfully. He then immediately contacted Grimm to check on the latest situation regarding Dina. Then the target goal is now Adrian, a billionaire operating in Sydney, Australia, given a 36-hour time limit to complete this next mission. And it turns out that Gina is wearing a watch that has a very high value, and Grimm knows that the watch belongs to her father. Gina has never let go of the watch since then. Adrian's next target is a billionaire who is engaged in the mining and mineral business, but it is also known that his initial source of income came from human trafficking, especially involving underage night women. In addition, Adrian also has a luxurious swimming pool that has an antique design. In this disguise, Arthur will pretending to be a worker in the nearest office from the target location, even though like that Arthur actually has the intention to take a picture of the key to the room to achieve his goal. Then Arthur concocted various chemicals that could cleverly damage the glass. Then he returned to the office, but this time he disguised himself as a technician. After that, Arthur managed to make a hole in the glass, so that Arthur's second mission was successful, and Grimm was very happy with Arthur's success. His fruit Grimm slapped Gina. Arthur then tried to find Gina's whereabouts by using the boat number he saw earlier. Then he tried to find the cruise ship that was transporting Gina. After finding him, he infiltrated the ship and managed to paralyze several guards. Until finally Gina was seen and he tried to save her.
So I knew you'd come back for her.
But in the end he managed to escape from the ship even though Gina was still in their clutches. Then moved on to continue the mission in Bulgaria with the third target, namely Max Adam, an arms seller from the United States. They operated in a very tightly guarded location where a ship's secret dive is used to store intercontinental ballistic missiles. Arthur has a 24-hour time limit to eliminate Adam. He starts the plan by taking down one of Adam's guards with a very careful shot. When they contacted the hospital to ask for a helicopter to be sent, Arthur infiltrated the helicopter by sneaking into their base. Max Adam, who felt threatened to be infiltrated by a professional assassin, immediately rushed to the bunker room.
State-of-the-art panic room.
Safe room, jack off.
But the intelligent Arthur has been in there from the start. It turns out that the target Arthur should kill is his business rival Grim. This time Arthur decides not to kill Adam, and they both agree to reverse the trap on Grim. Here Arthur is planning if Adam will be reported to have died in an accident involving an explosion in a submarine. When Adam plunged into the sea, the artist was waiting for him in the water to save him and take him to a remote island.
You'll have to die.
Arthur then reports it to Grim to let him know that his mission has been successful, but Grim asks for proof of his death. Adam hears that Arthur returns to Adam's submarine, likewise with Grim troops sent there, but Arthur managed to overcome all of Grim's troops. Swiftly he dives towards the position of Grim and Gina, who is being held there. Gina tries to put up a fight, but this cool one catches him again, and Arthur steps forward. One by one, the set managed to finish off the remaining Grim crew. When Gina was undergoing treatment for her wound, it was cool to activate the bomb on the ship.
I'll be fine.
Gina was immediately put into the rescue capsule. Meanwhile, Arthur was hunting down Kern, who was trying to escape. Meanwhile, time was running out, and he almost succeeded in defeating Grim, but Grim still put up a fierce resistance, until finally, Grim was trapped and entangled, and Arthur tried to save himself, but the ship suddenly exploded with a bang. Luckily Gina survived. Likewise with Max Adam, only Arthur was not seen there. Long story short, then Gina returned to Cambodia and continued teaching activities to the children there. But suddenly Arthur appeared there instantly, which turned out to be during an explosion. Arthur's ship takes refuge in an anchor, which makes him survive, and the film ends well.